Hey guys, Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands motivates, and here we're going to get right into something. Now I'm in the lab, I'm in the dungeon, the headquarters, the basement of the building, if you will. And I wanted to do this video to talk to you all because, again, I've talked about motivation and finances and what you need to do to prepare in life. One of the things you have to do, especially with the way things are going now, we got jobs, more jobs being lost. We've got the economy, the jobs numbers, the layoffs, AI. I mean, what are they not telling the truth about, right? What are they actually, every time we turn around and look at the jobs numbers, there's a million revised, 500,000 revised. And what happens is that they basically put out a jobs report every quarter. And every quarter, these numbers, if you look back since the previous administration, the previous president, the numbers were reported. These are how many jobs we added to the economy, how many seasonal jobs, how many part-time jobs, how many full-time jobs were added to the economy. And that's supposed to be some kind of reason for inflation or interest rates not to go up or go down or stay the same. Well, all the decisions have been made on the numbers being, we've added 100,000 more jobs, or we've added 1 million more jobs, or 1.5 million. It doesn't even matter what the numbers they say were added, because what happens is a few months later, following that statement, they always are revising, which means that they go back and say, well, even though we kind of told you it was 1 million or 700,000 or 165,000 jobs, we now kind of look at the numbers and realistically there was less than 800,000 jobs added. Or instead of 165,000 jobs, it's been 50,000 jobs. And if you're smelling bullshit like I do, I smell bullshit. So I'm allergic to bullshit just like you.
I think I can smell shite.
The problem with this is that economic indicators or inflation rates, interest rates, your ability to purchase a home, the cost of goods, the cost of cars, the cost of your groceries, all of that is being affected by the simple fact that basically someone's cooking the books. And when I say cooking the books, is accounting used to be, before digital, in something like a book, a notebook, a ledger book, some kind of accounting book that people would be able to write down and keep track of. You have your credits and then you have your debits. Anything that's a credit is an add-on, a debit is something you deduct and it would be taken out. So plus and minus, simple addition, folks. The problem what we're having now is that there's a whole bunch of BS lying on, because right now it's all about who stays in power and who gets elected. It is not really about your dollar, my dollar, making sure that we can afford home, making sure that we can have families for all you 20-something-year-olds out there, making sure that you're in a position to actually be able to afford a family, afford a marriage. And none of that can happen because economically we're being destabilized at every step and every turn. You either got AI laying off jobs, taking people's jobs, you have AI replacing people, or you have administrations and corporations implementing AI to basically have us train the AI so the AI can then fire us. Sounds like more bullshit, right? And all this does is put more money back into corporate hands, because now you need less hands at work. And again, now that means people don't have jobs. So one of the things we can talk about today, which I'll be in really short, and I really want to show you all this because I think this helps us not look like the government. This video is not going to be a long video. It is part of my motivational, because I want to motivate you and leave you with tools, not just talk, but actual things that you can use, and also show you exactly what I'm using. The concept of having a digital online budgeting tracking tool is great. It's simple, easy, and who doesn't love it? And honestly, I don't need to promote anything because there's a lot out there. There are many of them that you can use, but there's a problem when you do something digital. You ever try remembering a phone number? And because we have it all in our phone, well, 20 years ago when I was, in my 20s, we used to actually have to write down people's phone numbers. If you were talking to a girl and you kind of liked her and she liked you, she might be inclined to give you her telephone number. Now, sometimes you would have to put it into your phone. Now, it was analog, so you still had a lot of typing to do. And there were buttons you had to press like on a computer. And even in those old days, you had to still have some memory because you were doing muscle inputs, meaning that you were actually touching things and actually inputting them in. So your brain remembered the sequence of numbers to put in a telephone number. So I won't get too long on that. But the problem is that now that everything's digital or ordered in, or you have apps that can actually track every time that you spend something, it'll auto budget for you, is you don't know really what the hell you spending or what you're saving. You just kind of look at your bank account every now and then and you see a number and you make a decision. And usually that decision is, I can either spend more or I could spend less. Take a credit card, same way. We charge on a credit card, swipe, 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 swipe. Swipe or no swiping.
To say swipe or no swiping.
But the problem is with the credit card is we kind of really don't know how much we've been charging until we get online and look at our account. Same thing with our budgeting tool. So one of the things that I use in the house, I do have a digital version too as well, but I use a hybrid approach. I do implement and put things on a digital spreadsheet. Actually, I made my wife do it because she needs to be involved with the process. When you're in a relationship or a marriage, doesn't even matter if you've already been married. I've actually been married for 11 years and my wife started doing the digital budgeting in the 11th year. But when we started dating, we started using something as simple as a 5-star notebook, and it's really easy to do. You might say, Phil, who got time to be writing in all of this?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Setting it up and starting a process is much harder in the beginning. It's much easier to do years later. The reason why I support using an actual notebook is, one, it actually forces you to be somewhat disciplined. You actually have to go in here, sit down, take some time out your day, stop the Netflix and stop the scrolling on YouTube and anywhere else on TikTok that you can find, and actually commit to doing your budget. Now you can go online, but then more than likely you have, like me, multiple tabs and shit open, and all of a sudden now you're watching the next video or YouTube or something else like that. You're back off track. So when you're doing an actual notebook, you're focused, engaged, and you're writing. You want to just make a couple of columns, all right? The best way to do is to itemize or kind of get everything that you do mandatory in a month, which is rent, garbage. If you're an apartment like we are for right now, we have our garbage and our H2O or utility bill. You want to make sure you separate them, because if they're separate bills from separate companies, you want to make sure that you have them separately. So we have our rent, our water and garbage, Pico, Con Edison, SoCal Edison, wherever you are in the world, your electric bill. If they're all in one, put them all together, okay? Your cell phone bill, health insurance. If you have health insurance bills, we used to have health insurance, because I'm looking on this one. This is 2022. Even though I'm employed now from a hospital, back in 2022, I was a nurse and a land investor, making my own money, business money, and paying for my own insurance. This comes in handy when I'll talk a little bit later. You want to make sure, like cable bill, if you have a cable package, honesty is the key. You want to get all of this put down before you sit here and start, moving on and making bigger purchases. If you have gym memberships like I do, my kids took karate. If they're monthly, they go in the same column. If it hits your account every month, you want it to be in there. You'll say, well, Phil, I spend groceries every month, different column, all right? Groceries are a different one. We're talking about household expenses. They go in the same column. We have our insurance. That would be another one. Not only health insurance, we have life insurance. I do sell life insurance. It's not a promo, but I am licensed or can get licensed in different states. If you want life insurance, whether it's for you or your children or family or friend, I can help you out, okay? Anything else, any subscriptions you want to put in the same column. Next column that you want to put, miscellaneous. All right, this was the first column here. This is our standard household budget items. Anything that comes monthly, even if it's new, you want it here, okay? Same thing here, next column. This is miscellaneous. Make sure I'm in the camera view. Miscellaneous items. Miscellaneous items, I can see already, I can tell you right now. Amazon, my wife shop at Amazon. I gotta ask all the time, Amazon's up here more than anything else. Amazon, if you go to, I don't know, you go to a sporting event, anything that is not part of your groceries, which is a separate category, and part of your household bills would be miscellaneous, okay? Not if you go and have fast food, that's a different category. So miscellaneous stuff, orders on Amazon. What do we have here? You went to Dollar Tree. My wife went to Goodwill and bought the kids some toys. You stopped by and got coffee. Any one of those things, you go to Target or Target if you're fancy like that, or CVS if you buy something regular on CVS. You don't have to do it like we do. Ours might not be perfect, but it works. That goes into one column. All you're doing is every time you have an expense, you document the expense. You can get real kind of fancy by putting the date, the name of it, just small and simple. All you're doing is making a quick note. What you spent, where it was from, what date. All in the same month. This is January 2022. I'm going back and looking. We've got all the way up to this month in September 2025. So the whole point is you want to see consistency. So anytime you travel expenses will go up here unless you have business expenses. We'll talk about that in a separate video. This is all household, you, your spouse, or you yourself, or you, your girlfriend, whatever else, living together. If you're cohabitating or you're single, this works. Groceries, okay? Anytime you go to the grocery store for anything, whether if it's Wegmans, we have Wegmans out here, Acme, ShopRite, Whole Foods, Target, if you're buying foods, all of that goes into a groceries title. This is the title here, groceries. We got regular household, miscellaneous stuff, groceries. See the handwriting's needed because I ain't doing it. And then we have gas, okay? Depends on how close you live to work or how much you drive. Your gas will be a separate category because gas you tend to do on like maybe a weekly or bi-weekly one. So you don't want to mix it in with miscellaneous. You can if you want to. Then because I am married, I have my personal expenses, which I jot down, and my wife has her personal expenses. Now, again, there is a little bit of an honor code here where you kind of have to be forthcoming about what you're spending. So again, this is Phil's personal expense and my wife's personal expense. Then we have medical. If you got to have co-pays, you got to get medication. All of that goes into a medical category. The reason being is that sometimes people with health problems, they can deduct that on their taxes. You want to have that separate, not into the miscellaneous or household ones, unless you can identify. It's better to separate now than have to go back over 12 months and do it at the tax time. And also you can track your medical expenses. If you've had something that you had to pay for, like we pay for inhalers. I have asthma, my kids have asthma. There's allergy meds. There's certain things that we need to pay for. And I'm not talking about a flex spending account with your healthcare insurance, but when you're coming out of pocket, you want to make sure you understand what your medical expenses are. And I'll tell you why that's important in a bit. Last but not least, fast food. Now, I love Chick-fil-A like the next person. I like French fries. My kids love Wendy's. It's a treat, not an everyday part of your diet. So a lot of times you need to be able to track down when you go to fast food. We order Chinese food. I'm black, so you know, I'm gonna like fried foods. So it's gonna happen.
Yeah, boy.
Chinese food, whatever it is, you wanna track that down. The reason why I say all of this is that this is January, February, March. Now, if you're asking what's on the other side, this is my business expenses. Same thing happens. April 2022, May, June, July. Formula is the same, okay? The same setup every first of the month, you write it in there, and as you start spending, you start documenting. The easiest thing to do is get your household stuff set up already because again, you know that's coming unless your bill changes. Why is this important? Well, let's look about household expenses, right? When you're renting or you are getting out of your parents' home, or you're about to go into an apartment, or you're going from an apartment to a house, when you have a year to look at your expenses, you can start quickly identifying whether or not you can afford a house, whether you're going to be house poor. Because you see a lot of people out here, they look at the mortgage payment and say, all I have to do is put this down payment or no money down, 5% down, and I can afford a mortgage of $4,000. Well, you might want to check the budget and make sure that's true. You can start looking at if my rent goes up, my water bill goes up more, I can kind of average whether that's going to happen. Things like homeowners insurance, I'm going to have to add that too. You can start adjusting price and kind of gauging whether you can afford things or not. Want to have a new car? Well, you're going to add that payment into your monthly. You're going to start being able to see what you can and can't afford. And I didn't tell you the last part. At the top of this, at the end of the month, we add up, and I have a separate book for that, and I'll show you that in another video, anytime we get paid. Now, my wife's a personal trainer. I have a business. I have actual, work income from being a nurse. My wife does little odd jobs. She cleans people's homes, things like that. So money comes in different ways. We don't just have one paycheck coming in, but at the end of the month, all our income gets added together. We add that because it's one household. One household, all the household expenses being captured here. Household total, that means what did we spend all the month? All these categories get added up. So when you're doing this, you start to really kind of know your numbers. Think of like Shark Tank. You start knowing your numbers very quickly because you start noticing when your rent goes up, when your water bill goes up, when your electric bill goes up. Summertime, we put on AC. I got AC on now. You're going to have a higher bill than you do maybe in the heat. So you're going to be able to gauge whether something like, I'm buying a home and it has oil. Well, what are oil costs for heating in the wintertime? Well, that's going to be an extra. You can dial this in very, very good. You can look at how much you need to cut back. And the best part about it is that when you look at your income and you look at how much you spend, you definitely know how much you save or did not save. You can kind of look at when you're spending too much money, because again, if you spend it on the credit card, it should still go here. All your expenses should be captured and you'll be able to look at it and judge whether you need to cut back, not go out, not drink, say no to that date, or maybe have them pay for it, girls and guys included. Or you don't need to buy that car, or you now have your goal in mind of what you can save up in order to buy a home or buy a car, or can you afford an apartment on your own? You will be able to gauge and understand how your spending habits and master them and know this month, maybe I don't need to go out so much and have fast food. Maybe I need to know, we go to Chick-fil-A a lot. Sometimes we get discounts. Sometimes we get gift cards. Sometimes we know we can't go. So when you're out going somewhere and on the fly, you're driving back home and you see that Chick-fil-A buy, you're going to think in your mind, hey, I can't afford that right now because I'm on a budget. Next month, I'll be able to get that. And then you're able to even plan out. I'm going to leave it open. 2 weeks have gone by. I haven't gone out Chick-fil-A, just using it for my example. And now I'm driving by and I kind of want it. I know in my mind, my working budget on, can I get a fry? Can a brother borrow a fry? Or can I get a meal or something else like that? You'll be able to figure that out very quickly because you have it in your mind and recall because you're writing it down. It's not on a spreadsheet. You don't need your phone to access it. Your memory bank has it stored up here. And that's where the game changes. When you got to go to a computer or got to go somewhere else to get the answers, it's going to take you much longer when your stomach's growling. It's not going to work. But when you know in your mind what you can do, it might even prompt you to say, hey, I can go to Chick-fil-A, but they got a 2-for-1 deal. Maybe I'll get that instead because now I can make a cheaper choice, a financial choice. And if you've seen how expensive things are now, this is going to help you a big time. Last part, and I'm going to close it here. Medical. When you look at a job that offers medical, and one thing this helped with my wife. We chose a healthcare plan because at the hospital I work at, it's a new hospital. When you're transitioning jobs, they have different healthcare packages. Even if you have benefits, the healthcare packages means you will have a deductible, higher or lower, but that also means depending on how low or high your deductible is, your paycheck may be low or high too. It's not you get a paycheck and a high deductible or low deductible and no copays, everything else like that. So you got to take that into effect when you're picking healthcare insurance because again, your healthcare costs can add up. Our healthcare costs, we have Blue Cross Blue Shield. We had the best tier because there are tiers. You can go to the doctor around the corner that has a couple forks, knives, and screws to do your surgery, or you can go to a doctor who graduated from medical school who you'll be alive after he does the surgery. Choice is yours. Cut corners and you'll probably get cut too from life. So I was looking at our insurance, how much we paid in insurance, and we paid about $1,100 insurance in January 2022 before my third child was born. Once he was born, that jacked up about another $200 to $300. The reason why I know this is because it's up here and also down here. So we were able to kind of see now how much we would be saving when I actually got a job that I wasn't paying healthcare insurance for. So when I did that, we understood that now we were saving money and we put that money away. We didn't let that go to waste. So because it was in our mind, we didn't look at it as money to spend. We looked at it as money we were going to save and we saved it. Also on top of that, if you're paying out higher, a lot of more medical insurance, like, you have kids, you're going to need a little bit more, medical. You're going to probably go to the doctor a little bit more than you do normally. You're going to have to account for that. If you're starting to get sick or up in age, you're going to have to look at that. That also allows you when open enrollment comes every year at your job, maybe to switch a different healthcare plan. Also, if you're single and young, you might have picked the wrong healthcare plan and see that, man, my medical's not that expensive. I can go down on a plan into a cheaper plan. Give me a little bit more money in my paycheck. Again, writing it down helps. So again, I'm gonna just show you guys, and what you do is, the reason why we like these 5-star notebooks is that in the month, okay, everybody knows this. I'm gonna say we're short on time. You do not have to always go and write it down the second you spend it and come home and get a receipt. Who got time for that? And you're probably saying, I'm not gonna do it. And there's one of the reasons why. What we do is on these 5-star notebooks, they have a little insert. You take the receipt, put it in here. Sometime in the month, when you sit down, you keep stuffing all the receipts in here, you come in here and you start doing your accounting. The receipts are here. When you get time, you tend to it later, and that's it. The whole point is to save and document. Save the receipts, put them in your pocket, bring them inside, put them in here, and get to them later. One day you're sitting around before you get to Netflix or you go on Pornhub, wherever you're going, you want to make sure that you actually sit down and you're going to knock this out the way. Or maybe you just do a little bit per day. Just do 10 receipts. You get them out the way, and then you're moving along and done. The whole point is that you're able to look at this. And again, when you're a couple, because you all are doing this together, because you're involved, decisions can be made. And number one cause of divorce outside of fidelity is finances. And again, when you're working together, finances aren't something that you're always going to be arguing about for the most part, because you know what you can and can't spend. Now, last thing I'm going to talk about for the budget, personal budgets. When you're dealing with your personal budget, it's got to be a fair number. My wife and I, we both started off at like $250, sometimes $500. My wife's not a real big spender like I am. When I buy stuff, I'm going to buy like, electronics. They could run a couple thousand. So you want to make sure that it's a monthly allowance, meaning that you're both allowed to spend this amount of money, whatever you agree on, depending on how rich or how swanky you are. Whatever that is, you don't go above it and you stay at that number. If you want to roll it over into the next month, fine. But at the same time, you want to pick a number that you both can match up and be even with. You don't want different numbers for different times, different months, depending on how you feel. Other part is too, you're big in the holidays like my wife is. You understand when you need to start buying gifts for people and you plan that out. Nothing becomes last minute. You'll see your budget go from like 80 to 90% different on a change as far as you buying things last minute or impulsive buys and saying, hey, I can't afford that right now. I need to slow down and wait for that purchase. Or like my wife does, she waits for it to go on sale, and she loves shopping at Amazon. So folks, I'm going to leave you with that. Again, this is motivation for you to get your finances in order. Ancestry Lands motivates. Phil Davis. I hope you've been educated, enlightened, and entertained. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure we're growing the channel. And again, I will attach a budget template, an electronic one, and I will make sure that you can see this formula. Again, the whole point of writing it down is making it your own and create your own. That's the best part, is you're doing something your own way. It won't be perfect when you start, but it will get better in time. Remember, starting today will save you tomorrow. A word from the wise is peace to your mind. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'm out. Peace. That's it, folks. You can go to Ancestry Lands to start owning property today with payments starting at $250 a month, no credit checks, and owning land has never been easier. It's time to build your land portfolio one property at a time. We help you to get dollars from dirt and build generational wealth by owning small plots of affordable vacant land. Contact us to learn more. Oh, and speaking of dollars from dirt, I also wrote a book about investing in land for you readers out there. My book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, is on Amazon. The link is in the description section below. Inside, you'll learn simple, easy to read insights that will have you understanding why you should own land today. For more tips and tricks, subscribe for updates, comment below, and let us know what you enjoyed about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
And remember, like and subscribe.